Radio X. Serge, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you back. So the last time you were here talking to me, Favourites had just come out, and we were kind of talking about that, but we couldn't really talk about the rest of this project. But luckily tonight, the album is out. Yes. We're going to be able to play the whole thing, and you can talk freely about it.
Great.
And what an amazing opening. It's a real scene setter. It reminds me of John Barry or Ennio Morricone or amazing composers like that. And now I'm wondering, you put it all together in the surgery in your own studio at home. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, like the this sort of year break from the band, I had 3 pieces of music, and Meanwhile in Geneva was the first, and then I wanted the middle track. I won't say that what it is yet because it's coming in the thing, and then there's a Meanwhile at the end. So there's got the beginning, middle, and end of the story. So I had that bit of music. I thought, well, it'd just be a shame that's not out in the world, because it would just stay on my hard drives, and I just, and I really there's something I really enjoy that's I think it's like to start an album with this sort of with a piece like that. I just think, right, okay, this is an album. This is not an algorithm. This is you're in now. You've got to just accept that we're in this now for the next 40 minutes, and I wanted to start there, and I shouted out Geneva because my roots, and it means a lot to me. It's like a little love letter, and it also, I like the sort of Meanwhile. It sort of gives that sort of Sergio Leone sort of feel to films thing. But the concept really is, I liked. Like this whole Meanwhile, like the Batcave, like Meanwhile in the Batcave, So you got Bruce Wayne and you got Batman, and I, it's like me and the band, and then Meanwhile I do this. This is my Meanwhile world.
Yeah.
So that runs alongside, that I visit when now it's created, and I can visit whenever I want.
Yeah, amazing. And Geneva, so tell us about your roots then. How much of your family comes from there?
So my granddad was from Genoa, and my dad was he's sort of so Italian, like he's and he's brought us up with that in mind. So we'd spend like summers there driving an Allegro. We used to drive take us like 4 days in an old blue Allegro, man. It was hell, like, on that back seat. I used to lie on the parcel shelf at the back, you know what I mean? And we'd drive there, but since we've played gigs there and stuff, the people have just like taken us in, and it's like I just wanted to sort of shout them out, because obviously famously we're from Leicester, and well, that's one part of the story. There's this other world, other place, and it's quite it's like it's sort of a grand opening, and it's big, sort of introduction to this record.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic, and I'm still amazed that you could make this on your own, in your own studio, just because it sounds so big.
Yeah, the strings were done in Abbey Road.
Okay. now that makes more sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So you kind of put the gist of it, the bare bones of it together, and then got the strings recorded afterwards.
Absolutely, yeah. And I work with Tim Carter, who's who plays with us live, and he's an incredible musician and a friend, and so he having him, in the studio as well. We've worked on these tunes together, so it's been great.
Right. So he's been able to bring his. Does he notate music? Is he?
Yeah. No. I mean, like in terms of just like just like with engineering, and just so you're not there on your own, sort of going insane, which I can. I'm liable to do. So what I mean.
It's good to have a sounding board.
Exactly.
And somebody say, hang on a minute.
Yes, rein it in, boy.
But what a wonderful start to the album. So the album is the S.l.P, this whole new other world of yours, in effect.
Yes.
And in some ways, Meanwhile in Genoa sets it up nicely, because it gives us the idea that we're going to experience lots of different things. There's quite an array of different styles.
There certainly is, yeah.
Across the album. Lockdown is the next song.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, this has a lot of different elements to it. It's quite hard to pinpoint exactly what style of music this is.
Yeah.
I mean, it continues a filmic thing. There's
Definitely,
still, you know,
definitely.
the guitar line,
Yeah.
you know, has that, and then the choir,
Yeah.
the female voices are amazing in this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got it's hard, you're right, it's a difficult one, that to sort of say. I don't know where it's coming from. It feels, I don't know, I mean, it feels really fresh, and it feels, yeah, I mean, it feels really modern in the structure, and I like the way I'm singing it as well. I mean, so, you know, a lot of these songs I'm just trying things out and, you know, becoming a different element of my personality. Yeah, I really like this track. I mean, it's pretty special. There's a good line in it as well about FIFA '94. There's a really nice line about, and I you know, dropping that little reference. I mean, really, you know, and it's sort of, yeah, it's just sort of fragments of nights, stories, images, just, you know, this crazy little story.
Yeah, because you kind of say there's a story that has to be told.
Yes.
And there's this strange chanting in the background, kind of like a group of like a group of lads, but maybe it's a group of Serges.
There was I sort of wanted to try and get some voodoo sort of chanting in there. I always like to get those things.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing. I don't know whether we get the full story. We don't get the answers. There's a lot of...
No, I think that's like, you know, I don't like to give away the answers. I think you at the end, you sort of, I'm sure everyone has their own movie that's played out, and you know. But I like, there's some good references in there, like sitting on the dog chews. Like I've been in flats, places that you shouldn't really be in, and you end up sitting on something bizarre in the end, you know. Yeah. Like a bin or. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely, you know, create some really powerful images that we've got in our heads when we're listening to it. But I love the sound of those female voices as well.
That's me and.
Wow.
Tim and Inflow I work with as well.
Right. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Gosh. I mean,
there's a hidden talent there. I can reach some high notes still.
Amazing. Wow. I mean, that really does surprise me, because it has that really Ennio Morricone quality to it.
Definitely.
Amazing.
I mean, there's a bit of Kanye in there as well, I'd say. With I mean, obviously the 808s, but yeah, I think that's like I'm really pleased with the, like, it sounds raw, and like there's a sort of delicate sort of touch to it, but then it doesn't sound like an old track. It sounds like very much of the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's the third track on the new album, which has just come out, simply called the S.l.P. The S.l.P. is Sergio Lorenzo Pizzorno, Serge to us, the man in Kasabian, trance, taking us onto the dance floor. So again, this amazing array of different musical styles. It goes in another direction.
Yeah. I mean, this was like a sort of French. I was definitely feeling that French sophistication, and I think like I had like the element of surprise I wanted for the whole record, like the end when it opens up into a full-on sort of house track, and you're not expecting, you don't get no sense of what's coming. And I wanted every song to have all that the listener was always surprised. It always takes a turn that you're not expecting. And so that was kind of, like from the outset, that's what I really wanted to achieve it. And I'm really happy. I think it's really, what I love about this song is that it's definitely an anthem, but it doesn't let on. Like it's in its own, it's quite slow, but it feels faster, and it's in its own little world of like, there's a nonchalance to it.
Yeah.
You know, that I sort of associate with sort of Serge Gainsbourg, and you know, that kind of thing where like there's the confidence, like this is gonna be, you're gonna end up dancing to it, but you might not know it yet. But I'm happy.
That sounds
like great.
That sounds great. I mean, and that drop, in a way, it builds to that drop, but you don't necessarily expect the drop.
No, definitely not. And I'm really, really proud of that drop, because you know me, John. I like a drop, love a drop, and I didn't want to. That's kind of what I do. So I was reluctant to go too close to that, but I couldn't resist, and it's like it's just that opens up, and there's definitely there's a chant to it, and I think live especially would be great.
Yeah. And trance, I mean, it's called trance. Were you trying to create a trance moment?
Absolutely, yeah. I like, you know, especially with the end, like that could be chanted over and over and over again and never get boring because, you know, come back around.
Yeah. And so you mentioned live. I mean, you've got a whole load of dates in this month, September. So how much of this album are you going to play? Is it going to be the whole thing?
Yeah, that's all I've got. The only material I have, so I'm not going to play any. I wouldn't play any of Kasabian songs. So yeah, it will be the album. I'm going to stretch it out.
Yeah, amazing. No, that sounds great. Yeah. And will you do it from start to finish then?
I will fiddle around with set list because I definitely will.
Yeah, fantastic. The Woo is the next track. And I immediately thought of Wu-Tang Clan.
Yes.
And you mentioned Wu-Tang Clan in
this song, yeah.
And it has a kind of hip-hop feel, but it's also got a kind of reggae or even reggaeton kind of feel.
Totally, yeah. I was like, I've got this like Lagos compilation from the 70s, so I'm obsessed with it. And I'm obsessed with that like halftime bass line, you know, opposed like, you know, with a sort of insistent kick drum, so you get this weird, it feels really fast, but the bass is half times. Really nice, really cool sort of way of making a track. And then I just what I tend to do is play the rhythms and then sort of just sing over the top, whatever, just like free form. And I just listen back, and at some point I thought I heard the Wu-Tang, and I thought, oh, that's quite nice, like, because you know, I can see this story of, you know, hotel rooms, listen for echoes on, you know, in doorways to try and where's the part, whose hotel room is it tonight, and you know what I mean, and then, you know, and just spending those like, you know, hours listening to tunes, and Wu-Tang that kind of remained a constant in my life, you know, from the early days, and even now I still put them on and still love them.
They still have that magic.
Yeah, RZA's my boy, man. Yeah. I don't know if I'm his, but
I don't know. Did you hear that Banks and Steele's collaboration he did with Paul Banks from Interpol?
No, but it was good, right?
It was really good. It was a nice contrast between kind of Paul's voice
Sounds
and approach,
great.
And Soldiers 00018.
Yes.
Is that how you say it?
Yes.
So it's just 3 zeros and an 18.
Yeah.
And I immediately thought of MIA when I heard that track.
Oh no, no, that's definitely. Great, thanks. That's all enough said, thanks. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said.
Well, it sounds great, and it's interesting how you're able to channel all these different influences into your tunes and also into your vocals as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, it's like every morning I'd start a song, and if I had no like, I mean, that's kind of why it flies around, is because I just, you know, I followed the art. It's like, I like that, so let's just make it, and then that's another song done for the album. Wasn't like, you know, we can't do that, or I don't know, is that going to be right when the band, you know, is the band going to be able to play on that? So it's like all those kind of barriers, they've gone. So, you know, I just had that groove going. I got that, so I got an old 2600 ARP, my favourite thing in the world. Just got that groove going, and I had a mad conversation with a cab driver, really sort of depressing, sort of, you know, his vision on what the world was going to become, and you know, it's all this hate and all this anger, and I was like, you know, I just wanted to sort of, you know, hit back with like I'm as passionate about this as you, but on the other end of the scale, and all I want is togetherness. All I want is harmony, unity, peace. I know these sound like, you know, whatever, but that's, I was like, I want to sort of put that into the world, rather than all this horrendous sort of hate you're spouting out, and that's kind of where that's coming from. Yeah.
So in it you say, I'm a soldier, but I never hurt no one.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that, well, the way I see it, it's this idea that, you know, soldiers, and the use of that term seems to be applied to lots of different situations and to lots of different people. You know, and in certain circles, you know, everybody involved is a soldier, even though they're not soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, they're roadmen, or whatever you want to call them. And it's that idea that. So I like the idea of belonging. Is that kind of what you're hinting at there? You could be a soldier and be part of something.
Yeah, I think the whole, you know, like I feel like, you know, it's the record. I mean, not why I'm making it. I wasn't, you know, I don't really know, because I'm sort of instinctive and it feels right. But now looking back and having the opportunity to see it, you know, it's definitely like where I am at now, where I think, you know, my sort of what I'm seeing Britain as, what I'm seeing myself as, it's kind of all in there. And it, you know, it's like where I'm at right now and where I see it, the world right now, you know.
Yeah. So you're bringing peace to us.
Yeah, I like positive vibes. You know what I mean? I just think, you know, and you know, we'll get to it for the last song, but you know, just listening. You know, just want to listen to people's stories. I want to find out. I think we've gone so far. You know, between the two parties of people's beliefs, no one's. I felt like you could believe a certain thing and you would be heard, but now it's like, I believe this, fuck you. I believe that, fuck you, and that's it. There's no sort of like, but I want to listen. I want to figure out why did you end up with this conclusion? Can I now see a different way? Can I help? Can I, you know? So that, you know, that's we'll get to that at the end.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I mean, and so in some ways, you know, Soldiers 00018 is quite thought-provoking, and yet because of the beat, you know, people are going to be dancing to this.
No, it's incessant, and you know, and it just, you know, but I think, you know, there's the you know, I just, you know, I like that. I went for what is it when they, is it a CAT scan when they put in their tube?
Yeah. For your head? Or for your body?
Yeah, but it was for my back, right? They put me in this tube and they said, yes, it's quite intense, you know, hope you're going to be, you know, just prepare yourself. And it started and it sounds like the start of Soldiers, like vroom, vroom, and I was like, this is amazing, man. I was just thinking, I'm going to write some tunes in this thing. Like, usually people have freaks out, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, I'm claustrophobic. I was in this tube going, man, there's about 15 songs in this tube. It's like,
that is so good. That is so good. Only Serge could go for a CAT scan and think, wow, this is inspiring.
It does sound like that, man.
Amazing. And in contrast, we have another Meanwhile at the welcome break. So things slow down, and you bring in the first of the collaborators. And this sounds really great, and it's interesting because there's so many different elements. There's a beautiful bit of whistling, there's a lovely plaintive trumpet, and there's some nice guitar in there as well. And who's responsible for those elements?
So the music's, that's all that I had this track, and it was the middle of the album, and I like Welcome Break. I was sort of not like, the majority of things I do are there to make me laugh. Like, I like the core of everything. If it's not a love song, I don't do many of them. There's always comedy in it that even if no one else sees, I'll see. So I like the idea of this sort of grand thing being about the service station, you know, Welcome Break. I love that contrast, and they, you know, that just make I see it as a T-shirt, you know, welcome. I like that. And there are mad places where, you know, the amount of times we've pulled into them. So you got band in there, and you've got like a stag do and some football hooligans and lorry drive. It's just such a weird mix, and you know. And I thought there's something in that, like, and I approached Slow Tie to collaborate with, because I think he's a really special artist. And I went to see him play, and he blew me away. And I also thought, like, if I was going to do something with him, you know, I didn't want it to just be a beat. Like, it'd be obvious if it was a beat. It's like, which I'm sure would be great, but this is a real interesting contrast of, it's really romantic, really powerful, emotive music with this sort of like spit and this like, and he like buzzed off the concept too, and then he just took it away and made his own, but he made it way more psychedelic than I thought, which I loved, because he's like, he tuned into a whole different side that I wasn't expecting, and I think, you know, what he's done is incredible.
Yeah, now that's really interesting. So you had that music, which you'd performed yourself, or
yeah.
So the trumpet as well. That's
Gary Aylesbrook, who plays with us with Kasabian live.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you played in that music, and what other instruction did you give him?
I just didn't go too deep into the welcome break thing that I had. Just this sense that you're on a motorway, and it's the middle of the record, and you know, metaphorically, you're coming off the motorway, having a little time, and then you're back on. And that's kind of what it's the bit of the album I wanted it to feel like. We're having a little moment, and then we're going to get back on the trip.
Yeah.
So that was, you know, and he was hard to get hold of, man. He's a law unto himself, but again, he's a maverick, so of course he's going to be in. He handed it in really late. We were close to the wire, but I didn't care. Like I wanted to sort of have young British artists on the record. I wanted to collaborate with artists that I think are, you know, the sort of future, or you know, or that's supreme talent that just at the start of there where they're just making this great stuff. And it's like I wanted to showcase that on the record.
Yeah, and so you didn't get him into your studio to do the...
No, we did it over online sort of thing.
Right, because he's a busy man.
He's Northampton as well, it's not far.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of buzzed off that as well.
Yeah, it's an amazing performance. And so does your voice feature on this at all? Do you combine with him? Or
just the whistling and then some backing,
Right, amazing. And it really bears up to quite repeated listening, I think, this track.
Yeah.
Because initially you kind of don't quite catch everything he's saying.
No, it's quite, yeah. And then, so it ends with this big orchestra, and it's those notes that connect the first tune. So, you know, I like that sort of... you know how in great movies they'll play the theme and it will come back in different forms, different ways of playing it, and I like those notes make the album iconic, and that's like that we revisit those notes from the first track. Yeah. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah. And Nobody Else is such a positive, feel-good song.
Yeah.
You know, it was on in the office the other day, and everybody's hands immediately kind of rose in the air.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it's sort of side two, because I still make albums. I still feel like, you know, I still see them as like that side two, and you know, and I think, I don't know, I really feel it's. I still, as art, I still feel they're important as art. You know what I mean? I still think, I was the album's dead and it's 7 tracks, or this should be algorithms and all that. It's like, I don't know. I just think they're important pieces of work, and I think like I still see album as worth making an album. You know? Yeah. Whether I'm just no one cares anymore, but I just feel like it's important, and I like that, so I will continue to do that. And this is side 2, and this is just this is waking up in the morning playing sevenths, you know, which I've not done a great deal of, and just going, I like this. I was listening to like Mac Miller and you know, and I thought there's an old rave track called Sweet Love, and they use like I'm love, sweet love, na, 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 and it starts really slowly, and I've always thought that was wicked. How it was like you're expecting this beautiful love song, and then bang, you get that drop. Got the drop again, and it's killer like, and it. So you the first time you hear it, you think, oh, I know where this is going to go, and then it just bang, surprises you, and then you're into sort of blissful summer. Yeah, it certainly is like that, and it just kind of moves along. And I think if you play this one live, this is going to be a real moment. Yeah. This is it. You know, in terms of the set list, do you put this in the middle at the start of the second side, or do you wait for everybody to get really into the groove for later on? I think I think this will be mid-set probably, but I want the whole atmosphere to change. Like I want the whole mood to change the gig and transport people into some sort of weird little bar that they've
Yeah, fantastic. And then in contrast, it changes again. This mood changes again and gets pretty dark, really, with another song that we know already, Favourites, featuring Little Sims. This was the track that you came in and told us about, this first taste of the S.l.P.
Yes.
And it's such a performance from Little Sims, and it's such a combination, the two of you, I think.
Yeah. No, it is. It's special. It's like an unexpected, and yeah, look, I'm really proud. I mean, it really kicks in when that riff kicks in and that beat kicks in, I mean, I just think it's like it's serious, you know what I mean? It's good, and Sims kills it. I'm so lucky to get her and Ty on the record, and like you said, I wanted this British thing. I just wanted it to be these kids that are just killing it. So
yeah, it's a great combination. But this time you did get to see her in action.
Yeah, so we were in the studio, and originally it was like 8 bars, and then it was sounding so good. I was like, can we make it 16? And she's like, oh, I've not written 16. I was like, do you want a tea? I'll go and get some, She's like, okay, yeah, cool, give me an hour. And then she just, pen and a pad, got in, in the corner and just, wrote it, killed it, and I was well happy.
Yeah, amazing. And and you had all the music for her already. Was that all planned out, or did you change it afterwards?
Yeah, no, I had just extended it a little bit, yeah.
And do you see this as your version of hip-hop? Is this... Kind
of, yeah. I mean, I see it as like a bit sort of David Byrne, a bit Marky Smith, even sort of early like DJ Moggs production, then going into sort of like this modern, I'd say a bit sort of like Cardi B sort of beat for Sims. Just, it's a bit of it goes all over the structure. It's insane. It's a bit of a, but it came from, this everyone's sort of perfect sort of, social media like image of themselves. I mean, it was doing my head in. It's like everyone's sort of so, and you can't, you're just putting out there, this perfect version of yourself, and then you're using that sort of online date as a metaphor, and you sat there, and then you have the internal voices of, you're looking at the bill going, you had garlic bread and I didn't have any of that. Do you know what I mean? But you can't say, you can't be the real you. You've got to be this, And so this inner monologue, this voice in your head, and then Sims kind of just be going like, oh man, like, you look taller in your profile pic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a beaut.
2 quite contrasting tracks. So Kung Fu, beautiful acoustic guitar instrumental, and then it kind of gets all rocky, really.
Yeah. First, like, Kung Fu was, I've always loved the Meat Puppets, like, one of my sort of favourite bands, and I've always loved their brittle, it always feels like at any point it's going to fall to pieces, like, and that.
Yeah. This is really interesting. So Meat Puppets, the band from the States, from the kind of mid-80s through to the 90s, kind of are around at the same time as Black Flag and Minutemen and R.E.M., who they probably would have toured with, but went from being hardcore punks into kind of strange psychedelic country rock people. And I didn't know that you were into them.
I was so into them, and it's like they have this, I like things that sound like, I like playing with broken guitars, broken synths, broken computers. Like, I like the battle that you have to really work, and I always like everything to sound a bit out of tune and just ramshackle. Like, that's that for me is like, that's everything. And they have this weird, like, you just feel at any point it's just going to fall to pieces, and the vocals are just, they're so close to being really out of tune, but not. It's like, so after Favourites, I felt like you needed a break, so just to enter that weird little world for a minute, and then hit them with the biggest riff on the record.
So the Meat Puppets bit is the Kung Fu
bit. And it goes into the Youngest Gary, which is like, sort of get the Rickenbacker out and attack it like I usually do. But then again, the surprise, you've got the weird Turkish sample that you're not expecting, and then it goes into sort of George Clinton world, Parliament world at the end.
That's right, it goes completely funky. And it is almost like a different song.
Yes,
in a way.
No, it is. I did toy with making them 2 different things, but I thought it's way more interesting if they're the same song. And it's like, listen 10, it's like when you're used to it and you know it's coming, it's such a nice payoff, because you're like, I like this bit. Right. First of all, you're like, what is this? And then 10, you go, right. okay, I get what he was trying to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. And youngest Gary, is this a specific person?
Yeah, it came from that story. My mate told me a story. And it was all complete nonsense. That the youngest Gary in Britain was like 28 or something. There's
Right,
no
so
more Garys.
Right, so nobody's been called Gary anymore.
Yeah, that was kind of...
Right.
And it made me... I was like, I love the idea that there's no Garys left. Like Children of Men, you know, the film... What was he called? He was a 17-year-old Jose, maybe. Anyway, so, yeah, and I like the idea of this, like, kind of Ziggy Stardust, like Gary walking around Camden, sort of the last Gary. Do you know what I mean? He's moved to London to follow his fortune.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because you, of course, I do have a Gary on the record, you know, who you mentioned earlier on, who plays trumpet. So,
of course, but he's well older than 20.
Yeah.
I think it might, it's a nonsense story, but I didn't care about the truth then. I was like, I love the idea of the youngest Gary in England being 28.
Yeah.
It's probably not too. There's probably loads of
them. Are there
them.
any more? If there are any younger
I'm going to
Garys,
get loads of texts, aren't I? Going, I'm Gary and I'm 4.
And then that all leads to the closing track on the album.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the Silent Nowhere.
That's it, yeah.
Which is different again, and this kind of unites us to the opening song on the album.
Yeah.
So we hear these big strings again, but this time you're singing and asking big questions, some big questions.
Yeah. No, I mean, we talked about it earlier. It's the, I think it's just the need to listen to it. We have to go back to a point where we sit and we listen and we learn, rather than blocking ourselves off from any new ideas, any different ideas. And I wanted it, like, it goes quite prog in the middle, but I just wanted to feel that sort of, that just reflection and go, yeah, without that fundamental human of sitting down and listening, and we are going to get nowhere. Yeah. In silence.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's interesting because this album was, or this project, whatever you want to call it, it was a way of you having some fun aside and away from Kasabian, without the pressures of kind of delivering a certain kind of sound or having to think about other people performing these songs.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have got pretty introspective but also quite philosophical in this period, you know, and exploring this music, you know, whereby you're asking some big questions and looking for answers.
Yeah. I sort of, that's kind of, I mean, when the music always comes first for me, and that's, I connect to it. That when I hear that coming out the speakers, that's what I connect to. That's what I want to say. You know, I think that, and that's what it felt like. That was, you know, it felt, that was that music. That's what I have felt from it. You know, and it ends on the 3 notes to start the album, and I love it. It sort of ends on a resolve, so you go, oh, and it's like, shit, that was okay. Put it on again. Got to hear that again. Yeah, it's from the start. Yeah,
and wow, what a great idea, and very well executed as well. And in terms of your singing, what did you think? I mean, with each of these songs and the use of your voice, do you just respond to the music and that kind of leads you into how you react to it?
I do. I tend to do a lot of the instruments is just my voice. I use that quite a lot. Just having a mic, I sort of, so there's a lot of the things that sound like guitars or synth on this record is my voice with some effects on and stuff. But I was really, I loved about, I like the experimentation of just having, just like singing falsetto, singing really aggressively, singing really softly, just changing that. And, I sort of, you can really, your personality really comes through when you're just free, and I don't record in a booth. I just record in front of the speakers, as I don't like headphones and I don't really like mics. It feels too much like I'm recording. I like to just stand in front of the speakers. I mean, as it's an engineer's nightmare because you can't. But I just feel like I don't get inside it. Like I don't really, I can't connect with it. So, and a lot of it was just. yeah, I always wanted to sing like that, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, excellent. I love that. We need to know, so this is the S.l.P. Are there going to be future S.l.P. records, do you think?
I mean, I you know, I'm not one for plans, but what is, now it's created, now it's started, then it's definitely somewhere I'd like to visit. You know, I'd like to go on holiday there.
Yeah.
You know, and I can now, that's great. And I'd definitely like to do some more. Like the collaboration thing was really great, and I'd like to do some more. And I'd like to, you know, if I can, continue to try and work with, you know, it's like, you know, artists that like are as good as Sims and Ty, like, you know, and maybe unearth some, you know, people we've never heard of yet.
Yeah, so this is really the start of something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something new. Fantastic. Serge, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much, man. It's always a pleasure. It's always nice, like, it's always really great, because when I see you, like, it's done, and that's really nice. Like, we, you know, it's like, oh, I'm doing that. Oh, that means the work's done. That's great. You can,
right.
You know, so
and
thanks
it's out
for
there
having
now,
us.
in the world.
It's in the world, yeah.
Fantastic. And this is how the album closes. This is the S.l.P. Meanwhile in the Silent Nowhere.
Radio X.